Hi, this is Tiffany, The Balanced Life, Redefine Success, Redefine Fail. And today is part 5 of our 5-part series on preparing yourself during economic downturns, inflation, recession to be successful when things start to change and trend in a different direction. So this one is setting yourself up for success, timing, and trend watching. I touched a little bit on this in the previous video where I gave some examples about looking back to launch forward. So looking back at trends you've seen to know what you need to do now to build yourself for success in the future. I gave an example of network marketing. If you haven't seen that video, go back and look at that on the page. You can see it would be part 4 of this series. But today I want to hit on some examples because you can't perfectly time the market, and people who try to get the high and the low end up missing it and just being frustrated and missing out on what opportunities they could have. We're not going to hit it perfectly. So in business, I suggest you move in and move out incrementally and gradually. So taking an obvious example, real estate investing. You don't jump in and go, oh, wow, these deals are so great. I want to buy 20 houses. Even if there's 20 great houses to buy, you really dig in and you find the one gem. You work with it for a little bit. You learn some stuff, go for a couple months, then move into the next one. Move incrementally. Don't try to overwhelm yourself and feel like you have it all figured out instantly. You want to move in gradually. As you start to sell things, I would not suggest liquidating everything at once. There's tax implications, there's business implications, there's a number of things that can happen, but moving out gradually. Now, that's a real estate example. It's the same kind of thing when you're looking to change in any kind of business or industry, or even grow or tweak. Let's say that you're a nurse and you've gotten your master's and you would like to move into some leadership roles. Maybe instead of just jumping and trying to immediately go into a management role, you do some things, whether, let's say, like volunteering, to see if you really want to stay bedside or if you prefer to move more administrative, if you want to move for advocacy, things like that. Kind of dip your toe in the water in different areas, even if you're staying within the same profession, but just want to try different things within that area. And again, with business and things like that, yes, you want to grow, but I've given the example of my business, Writing Career Coach. We were growing so fast that I just went, okay, now's the moment. And I started hiring everything. I just executed my full vision. And instead of growing gradually, I brought myself from $0 a month to $2,000 a month in earnings. And then what happened is within about 3 or 4 months, I was bringing in closer to $3,000, $3,500 a month, but I was paying out at least that much in payrolls. I was making zero. I didn't grow smart and gradually. I decided to fully execute my vision. And a lot of people do this, and you know what the stats are on the number of businesses that fail within the first couple years. So by moving in gradually, taking notes, learning, modifying, and adjusting, I definitely recommend The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. I like to listen to it on audio because he does like this little story part that isn't necessarily helpful for me, especially since it's a long book. It's not like Who Moved My Cheese, but it is, it's helpful about talking about how to structure your business in a way that will help for growth and scalability. So career changes, consider shadowing. Don't burn bridges where you are now. If you're leaving one field, don't leave with a blowtorch on the way out, like, see ya, suckers, kind of thing. No, you need to be professional about the way you move out. You need to maintain those relationships because you never know when you not necessarily need to go back there, but when those relationships will be helpful for you at the next stage. Consider part-time versus full-time, moving into things, exploring things as you go, especially now, since there's not the stigma that there was even 20, 30 years ago about changing jobs. I mean, I remember in the early 90s when I was in high school, it was not a good thing to have a lot of different jobs that were only, a year or two. They wanted to see longevity. Now people don't really care about that, it seems. So part-time versus full-time, trying a few things, seeing where you really can flourish, thrive, and your skills are a good mesh. That makes the most sense. Setting yourself up for success. timing and trends. And like I said in the video, the previous video, part 4, where I talked about, giving the example of network marketing, there's times where it's better to sponsoring is more, you're sponsoring more versus selling more. There's different aspects of the business that grow in different parts of the cycle. It's the same thing with every kind of industry. So what you need to do to wrap up this series to set yourself up for success is learn, try, adjust. So you'll see things you did well, things you didn't do well, things that you should really do, not do, or do slightly different. Learn, repeat. So learn, try, adjust, learn, try, adjust. And that's why the incremental growth. Look at what you can afford to lose, whether it's time or money or both. What kind of a position are you in to commit to this? How much time, how much money, how much growth? If you have a full schedule, a full family, and people you've got to take care of, you may have very little of both. And so you've got to be really deliberate about the way that you kind of march forward in these changes. If you are, say, single and you're couch surfing, and so you have time and money because you don't really have any obligations for either, then you can jump in a little bit further and you can take a few more risks. Finally, let's take a page from NASA. When they're getting ready for launch, all the different systems that make up all the parts of the mission go through a go, no go check. I love it on Apollo 13 when they're going through, they're like, go, systems go, this one go, that one go, that one go. And they're just clicking through. Well, what are they saying in that? Each of them is looking at their gauges and going, okay, are we ready in this area? And I think that in our own lives, in our own businesses, professionally, in a career, we tend to have things like when we graduate from high school, we decide, well, this is a clear thing. This is, as you move each grade, as you move through college, you have somebody clearly defining for you. Once you move out into adulting full time, where you have a job, where you're running a business, maybe both, whatever you're doing, you don't have that clear. So you need to create for yourself these go, no go points where you look at it and say, okay, once I have spent this much, it's a no go, or I have to make a decision, go, no go, once I get to this point. And that's what I did recently in a business. I said, I have this much in this period of time and this set of circumstances, and these are the things that I'm going to do. And at this point, I'm going to determine go, no go. And I decided now is not the time to go. Now is the time to learn. So I learned, I tried, I did it for 3 full months myself, as well as hiring some contractors on to try to see if it's just my skill level or somebody else. I adjusted. I continued to test some of my things, and I looked at it and I said, you know what? From what I'm learning, it's a no-go point. And so I pause. I repeat. I'm now at the point of learning again, practicing my simulations that I talked about in a previous video, and I'm adjusting so I'm ready to try once the conditions are right again. And that's what it is. Whether it's professionally, I've done this also in careers. As I've started to expand into different areas, I've done things like tutoring and substitute teaching. Did I want to get my teaching certificate? Because I had an opportunity to do that. I had to think down, okay, go, no go. How does this fit in with what I'm trying to do? And once I got to a point, I was like, you know what? This is a no-go here. Even though I love to teach, obviously I'm doing these videos, I love to teach, but at this point, for what I needed to do and accomplish in my life, it was a no-go. It may be a go in the future. I don't care if I'm 50 and get my teaching license and then start doing it. But for right now, these are the things I want to do. Okay, so I hope you got something out of that. I know I started kind of meandering a little bit, but really the key is when you're going through this to look back. You've got to stop and take some time to look. And that doesn't mean just reading a few blogs and getting a couple articles and watching a YouTube video like this. There was a time where people read multiple books and took months and years of learning. We need to go back to that. We need to go back to really understanding it ourselves and not just taking the advice of someone, taking my advice, and just jumping out. What I'm saying is take my advice to figure out what needs to be done, how to evaluate, and then you go out and learn from people who are doing it and test and try and do and then come back. All right, so I will be back. I'll see you on our next video. And please, again, like, share, and subscribe, and comment below so I know what future videos you would like to see. I'll see you in the next video.